What's your least favorite class to deal with as a DM? When you create like an obstacle for a player, you want it to be challenging enough for them to actually think, for actually find solution for it. But you kind of want it to be at least solvable with something. So imagine you have like a player character who only have fire spells. The problem is it's more like they don't have any other thing other than the fire spell. And my worst enemy is someone who doesn't have suspension of disbelief. It's like I will still DM for them sometimes, but I won't be having like half of the fun of like things, because like every once in a while you will find like a player who's quite articulate in history or something maybe, and they will be like, oh, actually during medieval times this type of clothing doesn't exist. I was like, yeah, but it's the medieval time of Earth. We're not talking about Earth today. We're talking about this world. In this world, trebuchet and guns exist at the same time. Do you have a problem with that? It's like, this is definitely not Earth. And they were like, oh, actually, this doesn't make any sense. If you are going to put guns in your world, then the guns need to be like an extremely overpowered like things. That I was like, but what if the guns in this world are weaker than the guns in Earth? Yes, exactly. We have wizards, bards, and dragons. Bards can actually insult someone to death. But you don't think that someone will actually wear a suit in medieval time, air quote? Dude. All I'm saying is that this. If you want to play a D&D game with medieval Earth as the base, then go for it, right? If you want to play as feudal Japan as the setting, then go for it. You know, there's an actual game for that. And I'm not saying you can't do a game with realism, but when you're actually playing a game and you're actually in a world, right? You need to see that world as their own existence, their own like a separate being from our world, from your world, from my world, from anyone. If you're actually saying things like, oh, but that actually contradicts what you actually explained to us in the previous session, then I will actually applaud you for that, right? When you actually say it's like, oh, wait, this doesn't make sense in your world's rule, and that will actually be beautiful. That means you're paying attention to the world. That means you're actually invested in that world. But comparing that world, like the world in that game, to Earth is one thing. It's still one of my worst enemy. But comparing that world to another game's world is another. It's like, but in that game, you know, in that game's world, giant is a giant thing. It's like, but in my world, I want giant to just be as big as Goliath. Do you have a problem with that? It's my world.